everybody. Welcome back to Classic Movies with Ron MacCloskey. We have a great film, a film that kind of reminds me a lot of when I was a youngster. It seems to me when they showed these old movies on TV, it was always raining out. And this to me is a great rainy day movie. And we have a perfect guest to talk about old-time movies and current movies and what's going on in film festivals. And her name is Gina Rodriguez. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming here. I'm glad we found each other on the internet.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a writer, actress, director, and I also produce the Rahway International Film Festival in the lovely Rahway, New Jersey.
Yeah, Rahway's great. I have a warm affection for Rahway. Family there, and then we moved to Westfield. So great. I do want to talk about the film festival. Sure. Let's talk a little bit, though, about this movie.
Sure.
Barbara Stanwyck. What did you think of the movie?
I thought it was really great. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what to expect with this movie at all, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And a young Kirk Douglas. I was so excited by young Kirk Douglas.
I know, and that's what I think was so great about this film, is it introduces Kirk Douglas.
Yes.
And his character in this film, though, is completely different to what he eventually became in movies.
The first thing that I thought.
Yeah.
He's the antithesis of Spartacus.
Right,
you know?
Right. And, you know, Barbara Stanwyck at that time was probably at almost the height of her power, which was around the mid-40s. Right. But she was one of many actresses that were just so great in Hollywood. Another one is Katharine Hepburn. Now, what do you know about Katharine Hepburn?
I know a little bit about Katharine Hepburn. I know she was the great Kate.
Right, right.
I also know interesting facts that I admire her for, that she didn't like playing the Hollywood game. She was one of the first women to just wear slacks, and she opposed skirts and dresses and makeup, and there's something about that that I really admire. I mean, back in that time, it says a lot about her character that she was willing to be so different. Yeah,
no, you know, you're absolutely right, and that's what I think a lot of people do admire, that she really tried to work within the system, but her own way, and just, I don't know how many times she was nominated, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. I know she won twice. Had a great love affair with Spencer Tracy.
Yes.
Made some great movies. I love Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and I think one of her final films, if not the final film, was On Golden Pond, which was great with Henry Fonda.
I hate to say that I haven't seen it.
Oh, you must. You really should.
I'm going to add it to my list.
Okay. Now, let's talk about Joan Crawford. What do you know about Joan?
Ooh, Mommy Dearest. I didn't know much about Joan Crawford, but when I watched this movie, actually, I started getting into a bunch of other old films, and I watched... what's it called? They All Kissed the Bride?
Right.
So I didn't realize that Joan Crawford was so good at being the romantic leading lady. Somehow, I guess because I had the Mommy Dearest picture in my head, I didn't really picture her in that way. But she was another really strong woman and played fierce characters, and I admire that.
She started her career actually in the silence. She even briefly did musicals, but then eventually became that dramatic actress that we all knew, and just kept moving. Mildred Pierce is another great Joan Crawford film. Right. And when I think of Joan Crawford, other people also think of Bette Davis. What about Bette Davis?
Oh, Bette Davis. First thing that comes to mind is Kim Carnes, actually.
Oh, great.
The song Bette Davis has.
Great.
But I haven't seen much of Betty's work. I've seen more of her interviews, actually.
Right.
And she was yet another sassy lady. All of the women that we're talking about right now, I think, are really strong women. And I think that I admire them, and I hope that there are younger generations who go back and watch these films and see these women who, in their time, were such strong forces. Even their characters were leading organizations, and they were CEOs. And how impressive is that? I mean, we don't even have a lot of that today. So I really admire these women and everything that they accomplished.
Well, Bette Davis was unique in the fact she was similar to Kate Hepburn. She did her things her own way, but she really did stay with one studio almost her entire career, and that was Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, when I think of Warner Brothers...
She was the fourth Warner brother, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think of James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart and Bette Davis, and she was just there forever. Made her own films with those strong characters, really believed in, and used to constantly fight with the scripts and said, this is no good. The story I heard, I don't know whether it's true or not, but it's kind of interesting, when Gone with the Wind came up, every actress tried to go for that part, and we all know, you know, she didn't get it. But Warner Brothers said, okay, you know what? We'll do Jezebel. Now, Jezebel was another film set during the Civil War, and that was supposed to be her Gone with the Wind. But it was very well done. And then she had a unique career where she's very popular, then kind of died off. But then in the 60s, started coming back again and made a great movie called Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
That was a horror film, wasn't it?
With Joan Crawford.
Yeah, I'm terrified of horror films. So I stay away from those.
Okay. Well, this was really more like a psychological horror film. So it wasn't like, you know, a monster or whatever. But yeah, it was just a great movie.
Still, they give me anxiety, you know, I stay away from them.
Right.
But fun fact about Bette Davis.
Yeah.
I think she was the first elected female president of the Academy.
Oh,
actually.
wow. Oh,
but another thing that I admire about her, it goes back to what strong women these ladies were. She only stayed as the president for 2 or so months because she realized, she didn't tell the public, she told the public she was too busy to do it, but she realized that they just wanted her to be a figurehead. And she wasn't content to sit there and play the pawn. So I admire that. She didn't sit there to make everyone else think that she was above her station. She owned who she was. She was already Bette Davis, you know? Why did she need to also be the Academy president?
Another actress I thought of as we were talking back and forth about doing the show that I didn't put on the list but was just as popular was Judy Garland. Now, even though she was known as a musical star, she was a wonderful actress. I mean, just, you know, when she made Wizard of Oz, that was 1939. So basically, during the entire 40s, almost every year there was another Judy Garland movie out, and she was just wonderful. Unfortunately, the stories are true that she had, you know, a drug problem and alcohol problem and whatever. So,
but can you really blame her? They worked her since she was so young, and she was constantly on the go. Not that I'm in any way supporting drug use, but I understand why her life would have been so difficult.
No, you're absolutely right. But just she really does deserve a place in there as well because she, again, just great movies, great acting performances. Unfortunately, she died way too young.
She did.
But unfortunately, that's what happened. So let's talk a little bit more about this movie because I really love it. Barbara Stanwyck is in it. Van Heflin. I never cared for this guy. But this is the first movie. But I liked him. I liked him in this. And like we said, you know, Kirk Douglas plays a wimpy guy, not a strong guy. He doesn't even get angry in this movie. And then it also stars Elizabeth Scott. Now, Elizabeth Scott, the only other movie I think of when I think of her is a Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis movie called Scared Stiff, where they have to go to Cuba.
I knew I recognized her. I couldn't place it, but there you go.
But it was great. So we're going to go watch this film. It's called The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. Like I said, this is a perfect rainy day movie. Sit back and enjoy, and let's take a look at Barbara Stanwyck. I was very surprised at the ending of this film. In the 1940s, I don't think movies ended like this, but it was kind of like a surprise to me. Were you surprised too?
I was. I feel like I shouldn't have been because it's, I mean, it's a noir film.
Yeah.
I was still hoping that they were going to end up happy and get together, but well, he got somebody, so it's a win-win. Yes, he did. Really.
Let's talk about the Rahway Film Festival. First of all, I think that it is fantastic that anyone can get behind a festival and put a spotlight on people that are making films, whatever, and to know that you're doing it, you know, in just a couple towns over Rahway is great. How did it start? Well, this is your 4th year?
We're moving into our 4th year.
Okay, and how did it begin?
Well, I actually worked at our venue, which is the Hamilton Stage in Rahway, New Jersey, and I was the assistant house manager there. So I pitched it to my boss. I had this idea, and he loved it. He's now the mayor of Rahway, and that worked out well for us. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. But now, okay, that's to me is the easy part. Okay, I got this idea. But now, what do you do after that? How do you get the films? How do you contact people? How did?
Well, there are a lot of filmmakers out in the world, and they honestly find you.
Oh,
you know, yes, there are times where we do come across films that we'd like, and we can invite films. But for the most part, we put out a call. And there are plenty of filmmakers, hundreds of filmmakers who send in their submissions, and we do charge a fee to submit, but it is a competition festival, so you know it's worth the money.
Okay, great. And then do you have a minimum, like does it have to be a certain length of time? Does it matter about subject? Or?
In the past, we did have a minimum length of time, but I've moved it so that you can submit microfilms as well now.
Okay.
So We do have a mission statement. We're trying to, if I could actually remember the mission statement right now, but clearly anxiety has gotten to me. So, but we do try to showcase films that open the mind of our audiences.
Right.
We try to show things that you don't necessarily see on your day-to-day, in your day-to-day life.
Right.
So
other than showing the films, do you also have one night or a few nights where the filmmakers actually get up and talk to the audience and do a Q&A? How does that work?
It's actually after every film screening.
Oh, wonderful.
So we show both short films and feature films. Mm-hmm. So obviously for our features, we just have the one group of filmmakers there for that particular film. But then we'll have a panel of all the filmmakers after their short films show.
That's great.
So yeah, we try to get our audience involved, and there is a Q&A afterwards.
In all the years that you've done this, has any filmmaker gone on to something that we might be familiar with?
Actually, I don't know that you'd be familiar with it, but we did just have one of our alums go to a program under the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, wonderful.
It was one of their sub-programs, and he learned to make another short film over there, and he did really well. So, yeah.
Well, I think one of the testaments to a good film festival is when you have a filmmaker make a film about your film festival.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll get a documentary going in the future.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because again, I think people are fascinated with film festivals. How it all works, about the decision to have it done, where do you do it, when do you do it, because I'm sure you have to think that too, right?
Yes.
Not to compete with what else is going on, what type of movies and all that stuff. So again, I just applaud you. So let's talk about some dates. What's going to be happening this year with the Rahway Film Festival?
Okay, well, our main event, which is going to be the 4th annual Rahway International Film Festival, is coming up late October 21st through the 23rd. It's a 3-day festival. And this year is actually our first year that we're introducing Rahway Film Fest Junior. So we're opening that up to grades 3 through 12 in New Jersey schools.
Okay.
And we're asking them to just make a short 1 to 10 minute film on their smartphones. So, yep, and they can submit to us by May 10th, and their showcase will be May 21st of this year.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said you have a panel, so do you actually award then prizes? First, second, and third, or how does that work?
For the main festival, we do have a panel of judges, and there are awards. It's similar to the Oscars in that you'll get Best Actress, Best Cinematography, Best Director, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
so
great.
We do have, it is a competition festival.
And then is it a plaque? Is it a statue? What is it?
It's a little statuette, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
That's great. So, that is so fantastic. Before we go, because I just noticed it's called the International Film Festival, so I apologize.
That's okay.
So what's the farthest country you've had submissions from?
Oh, you're testing my geography. We've had films from all over. I get them from China, from Russia, from Germany, from France, from Argentina. We've covered most of the continents at this point, so we're hoping to expand. I hope that at some point, we'll hit all of them. But yes, we are international. Again, we accept short and feature-length films.
Now, I don't want to put you in a bad position here by naming your favorite movie.
Of these guys?
Yeah. But is there just one or two movies that you just remember that really stuck out, that really thought, wow, that was neat?
Oh, gosh. There are so many that I watch, and they're all really fantastic, and I'm going to play that parent game and not name any favorites. Because I think that all of our filmmakers have been fantastic, and they were selected for a reason, so I love all of them.
And one other quick question. Do any of them, are any of them animated films?
Yes, we do also accept animated films.
Oh, wow, that's great, because I have a passion for animation and cartoons, whatever.
Well, you should come.
Yes. Well, no, definitely. I'm going to be
You're there already. You already bought your
Whether
ticket.
you were going to invite me or not, I'm going to be there. Well, great. Again, this is Gina Rodriguez. She has been just wonderful. Great guest. It's been wonderful to talk about this old-time movie, a Barbara Stanwyck film, but also talk about current actresses, and then talk about, in a way, even future actresses, because, again, that's what the Rahway International Film Festival is about, is to go see new work, writers, directors, producers, actors, actresses, and, again, you may see somebody that in a few years might be at the Academy Awards. So this is Ron MacCloskey. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Classic Movies. Bye-bye.